So this is the unboxing of the MSI graphics card gaming GeForce GTX 1070. So we've got our system together here, and this will be the last part of it. We have a nice stable gaming system, and so now we're just prepping to get the graphics card into the system. So this is just the unboxing portion, and then we're going to show you how to install into the MSI Z170a Gaming Pro carbon. So we're just going to take a look here and see what's in the box. Alright, so this is what we get. Comes in a nice flat black box. Let's see anything there. So likely there's probably some software in there, probably some drivers. And here we have the actual card. These graphic cards have come a long way since when I used to get them way back, with the fans on them and all the shielding. So we're not going to take it out right now, but basically, of course, when you do take it out of the protective wrap, you have to be careful once again, mainly about touching the contacts. But I'm going to start reading up on this, and we will soon have the installation video. Okay, so we're about to install our graphics card, and so more than likely what we're going to do is we're going to install it into this case here. So we're installing it to the Z170a Gaming Pro Carbon, and it's going to be either one of these slots here, but I have to open up. I'm going to open up both of them just so I get an idea. Also, this fan cable is kind of in the way. I got a bit of cable management to do because I have not, actually even this guy's been out of there for a while, and that's not really good. But that's because I was reducing things to the bare minimum. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to, just kind of get things prepped for the video card install. So you can use a screwdriver on this. I've already magnetized a screwdriver. It's also finger tightened, so it's something that you can easily just a bit tight. Just coming from, this is the Z1, the 780T Corsair case. So these are a little bit tight, so you will need a screwdriver to loosen them up initially. The main thing is you just don't want to have anything falling onto the motherboard at this point. We know we have a good working motherboard, a good working system, and I'm going to have to go ahead and get some of the cables better managed, and actually some of the cables are going to get plugged in now. I already had a video on plugging in the cables, so I'm not going to really go over that too much in this video. But just to get everything better managed, that's going to happen pretty soon. Okay, so these guys here, now that I've unscrewed them, they'll pop right out. And I'll just give myself a little bit of extra room. So this will pop right out as well. Of course, the main thing right there is just making sure you don't drop anything onto the motherboard. And let's cut. Okay, so this is the MSI gaming card that we're going to be installing. And we're going to take it out of the protective wrap for the first time. And of course, when you do that, make sure you're grounded to the case. We're not on a carpeted surface, once again, so we're relatively safe. And the main thing I want to be very, very careful about is, as I'm taking it out of here, I don't really have a good sense, but it looks like it's pretty well shielded. And that's going to be really very helpful. So what we're going to do is take a look. Okay, so you can see on the back we're shielded nicely, and that's really great because that makes things a lot simpler for us. On the front, it's shielded. Now, as you can see, there is some exposed circuit board here, so just be careful what you touch on the circuit board. So let's put that down right there. And just want to get rid of the shrink wrap. I should say the protective wrap there. Okay. So I'm going to be taking off the plastic here. This for gaming. Now you can see, if you look closely here, all the things that are really sensitive here are covered. So this is a good thing that MSI has done. They've taken this, this is protecting the gold contacts that are going to be going right in there. So it looks like pretty much this should be a fairly simple operation. But just like with the memory, it's easy to touch the contacts. You have to be careful once you disconnect everything, and just make sure that you want to get this, you want to get in here so I can easily open up that so that this slot is ready. And then I'm just going to take off this plastic, and that's the gold. So this is the main area that you have to be concerned about. You don't want to be touching that with your fingers. The main thing is static is the worst thing, but even any oils on your hand would be a potential problem. So right now, of course, it's always a visibility issue when you're putting in something like this. So I have to make sure I can use the guides of the slot. So the slot is going to help me a little bit, and I'm talking about over here. That's going to help me. But what I'm really looking for is I'm trying to see, and of course I can't see too well, where the actual slot is. So what I'm losing as I'm trying to put this in is I can't see this because the card is so huge. It's actually obstructing my view. So let's see if I can do this without too much trouble.
No.
Okay, you have a better angle from that side?
Yeah.
So am I missing it completely or what?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe...
More to the left. No.
Oh, you're saying more to the left?
Yeah, more to the left.
Okay, well what that's going to mean is I actually have to, I think I'm going to have to move the other, I'm going to have to move this as well.
I think this is what goes right there.
Well, it has to go into this slot. And,
okay, I see.
Okay. So let me just put this down for now. Okay, so we're going to take out this other, open up this other slot here, because it looks like we're over a little bit too far, and hopefully this will give us the space that we need to get the card positioned correctly. Okay, so now here we go once again. We're going to attempt to get this in there, and my son has given me a visual on his side, and that's going to help me. And so it's really just a matter of, is it aligned properly? Because I can't really see anything.
My angle, yes.
Let me come over there because I can't see, and I need to be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, that looks good. Yeah, so that's definitely... Okay.
There we go.
Okay, and you heard that snap in there. So definitely you want to be... If you're looking at the card from below, it's really hard to see what you're doing. But if you're looking at it from the top, this edge here, which is nicely shielded, just gives you a nice clean view all the way down into the slot. And then you can hear that it popped in there. So we definitely... Okay, so the next part here is just to put this slot cover back in because we don't need that open. And then we're going to move on to the next step. So one thing you have to do, once you get the card in, you want to make sure that you start putting these guys back in, because basically this guy takes up essentially 2 slots. It really only takes up 1 slot on the motherboard, but as far as back here, you want to make sure you put 2 of these screws back in to kind of hold things into place. So that's what we're going to do. I'm not going to belabor this too much on video, but we're going to show you that there's 2 of these that need to basically go back in. And not to mention, we already put this one back in. That was the easy one, because then this has a cover on it as well. But let's do this. And this will basically just help to secure the card in place. This one there. If you come around the other side, you can actually show it a little bit better how it's actually taking up 2 of the slots. So just go around the back and show right there. So you can see from that angle especially that the card is taking up 2 slots. And I need to magnetize my screwdriver. Let me pause that, Joe.
Go.
Okay, so the main thing here is just be careful as you tighten them down. I did notice that I couldn't get my screwdriver magnetized enough to really hold these larger, twist. These are made so you can easily twist tighten them if you can get your fingers in there. I'm having a hard time getting my fingers in there, but the screwdriver is doing the rest of the work here. And you're really just trying to secure things so that things are not wobbling around when you're carrying the machine. And like I said, this is not the most difficult part of the job. It's just a little bit clumsy. Okay, so we're going to take this Type 4 connector, and it's got basically kind of a strange 8-pin. Like you see a split there, but it's an 8-pin connector there, and a 6-pin here. And basically what we're doing is because the graphics card does need additional power, so it needs an additional 8-pin power and 6-pin power, so we're going to supply that. But we're using this Type 4 that goes into our RM650X. And so we just have to find an open peripheral and SATA slot, and we'll slide that in. Of course, my main issue right now is just reduced light. I can't see. Okay, oh, that's good to have that light on. So I should be able to get this guy in here. Okay, so why is that not letting me plug it in? It's a, I think maybe these are 6 pins here. That's another good reason to have adequate lighting. So what do we have? Do we have an 8? Okay, there's an 8-pin right up there. So I need a Type 4 8-pin connector here, and that's going to be right here. So I just have to get these cables out of the way. And I should be able to plug that right in. You want to make sure you just get, these are just your, all of our HD LED and all that. So we want to make sure those are not getting too crowded there. And so that's the main power connector. So the power is now available. And then we're just going to do, okay, this is the 6-pin. This is the 6-pin actually. So we'll do the 6-pin first. And that should go like that. That fits in nicely. Now I did see a little bit of debris kind of pop off that, so I'm going to end up doing a cleaning of this board before we power it up. And then we want to take over here. Okay, this is a little bit clumsy. Yeah, having light is actually a really good thing. Now this little guy here is kind of causing a little bit of trouble. And I'm not sure if this will actually even fit. So I got a little bit of a dilemma. It looks like this will fit very, very nicely. But what I was going to be using for the 8-pin here is not fitting too well. So I have to kind of go back to the drawing board and figure out what's going on here. So since I'm a relative newbie here, I think this is the actual 6-pin I have to use. This strange connector here, I'm not really sure what that's for, so we're not going to use that. But if I use just this 6-pin, that works out nicely. And then it's a matter of using, since these are split, using this connector here, that goes in, hopefully, well, let's see if I get this guy. I might just simply be using the wrong connectors. This obviously fits, or maybe it doesn't. Yes, it does. But I feel like once I get this guy in, I'm actually home free. So I need to do a little more reading here because this is clearly not working here. And I have to just make sure that I actually have the right cables. Okay, so my son is telling me that it should go this way. And as usual, kids kind of have this uncanny ability to learn quickly. After getting a certain age, they can outrun you pretty good. This is good. So let's see if this will actually work. Okay, that works pretty good. Okay, so that's the 8-pin. Now I can bring the 6-pin over and I'm leaving this unused. So that's good. So alright. So basically what happened here is I had this upside down before, so this little appendage here was not fitting in. So if you have the RM650 and you have these strange connectors, just realize that if you have this upside down, just kind of flip it around and that will work. Now, as you can see, we're going to have a little bit of cable management issues here. You're going to want to bend this down, because one thing with the 780T case is that these side panels will pop off very, very easily. And if you have a power cable like this, it has a lot of, this is kind of a pretty hefty cable. It's actually going to pop your side panel off, and that's not good. You can lock it down, but I just noticed that these 780T panels do pop off easily. So I'm going to have to bend this a little bit so it kind of bends inward, and that I'm not putting too much pressure against the side panel. So now we're ready for our smoke test. So we're going to turn it on, and hopefully we don't have any major problems. We got some nice lights coming on here for our MSI graphics card. We have, we're actually getting output from our graphics card. If you come around here, you'll see that we actually plugged into the DVI slot of the MSI graphics card. There's actually 4 HDMI outputs here, so I'm wondering if you can plug in 4 TVs at the same time. We're not going to go that crazy right now. Right now we're just going to try to do a smoke test and install drivers. Now I'm a little bit upset that this kind of came a little bit mangled. I don't know what, but this is the driver CD that came with the our MSI graphics card. So we're going to just put it through a couple paces here and maybe do a little bit of a stress test to see how it's acting. So let's see if we can log in. Okay, so we basically just want to get our drivers installed. So basically the system is nice and stable. We are using the graphics card because our monitor is plugged in to the new graphics card, so things are looking nice. We're gonna basically see what kind of drivers MSI is shipping with here, and let's see what happens here. Alright, so we're just going to load our DVD setup. We should get all the drivers and apps that come with the new graphics card. And I must say, compared to some of the old graphics cards I used to install, back on my older computers, this is quite a nice graphics card. And you can see that we have fans that are not always operative. Basically that'll depend on what we're doing, and also we have to do some better cable management. This fan here, I'm a little bit concerned that we're going to get that caught up in the fan of the MSI graphics card. Okay, so Steam's complaining that we're not connected to the network right now, and I'm not concerned about that. Basically, MSI is telling us what it wants to install, and we're going to take the ones that it says it needs to install, because we have installed a number of the drivers and utilities from the motherboard, so we should be fine. So we're just going to install all these, and we'll let that run. Okay, so we're just about done installing the software that came with the MSI graphics card. We're going to let that finish. It wants to reboot, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to reboot the system, and we'll let's see, probably it looks like it's not going to auto boot for us. It's just telling us that we have to boot. Gaming app, I'm not worried about that. I think we have that already. Afterburner, I guess we can install Afterburner, so we're going to go ahead and do that. And then we'll do a reboot after we get everything installed here. Please select the language. Okay, English. Okay, so it's putting us into a Microsoft installer, basically. Accept. And we're going to do all the usual stuff, just accept all the normal defaults, not doing anything fancy here. Okay, so I'm not sure how soon we'll actually use Afterburner. And I'm just trying to get all the software installed. And this Gamecaster thing looks interesting. Kind of selecting the language again. I guess it looks like there's more than one installer on this guy. Tuner, statistics, let that go. Alright. Things are working nice and smooth here, and so I'm pretty happy. I have connected more of the cables that I had disconnected before when we had to do a little bit of debugging. Guess I'm not worried about reading the README right now. Okay, so we're going to do finish. It's going to pop up more stuff. And this is the driver and software setup. Okay, well, oh, this is Afterburner right here. So it's just giving us some stats on the system. I'm going to study more on this later, so I'm not really concerned about that. At this point, I'm just trying to make sure we're installing everything that MSI is providing with the new graphics card. Okay, so the split Gamecaster. Now this looks pretty awesome here. Install now. I'm not really seeing install now. Gets okay. Actually, I'm not even seeing this. Maybe this is installed already. Okay, of course we have Chrome, so that's not going to be an issue. All right, so it looks like we're done with this installation, and we're going to just go ahead and do a reboot. Let's see what we got here. That's just Cortana trying to survive itself. Let's do a restart. So you can pause as we go. Okay, so we're just going through the boot process. One thing I do want to do, since I just got the graphics card installed, is I want to go and check Microsoft updates and also check to see if MSI has any updates. Now, MSI does a pretty good job of giving you, they have this live update 6, so we're going to check the live update 6, see if I can open that. Let's get the, Steam is getting in my way. Steam, stop getting in my way. Okay, man. You know, this is kind of an annoying thing with everybody trying to do stuff in that right-hand corner. It gets kind of busy. Okay, so what we're looking for here is, MSI has this live update, and every once in a while they will release, new BIOS, any new drivers. So you always want to check to make sure you have the latest and greatest. I'm going to do a manual scan right now, and we'll do a scan just to see if anything pops up. That's pretty quick, actually. So it looks like we're not coming up with anything. We have done a few updates already. Okay, so it looks like we're pretty good here. So I'm just going to close that. The other thing you always want to do is check your Microsoft updates, because there will be security updates that come out occasionally. And you always want to make sure, especially, that you have the security updates, because as sometimes there are vulnerabilities on any of these systems. And okay, look at this. So we are pulling in one for our NVIDIA graphics adapter. So that's very good. So we're going to go make sure that we get all the updates that we typically would need, and some of these will be protecting us against viruses. Okay, so I just want to demonstrate with the 780T. You have these side panels, and of course I'm putting this on as the system is running, so you have to be careful about that. My main concern is you have that power cable sticking out there, and I just want to make sure that this thing will close and stay closed. Otherwise we're going to have a little bit of a problem. Okay, so it does seem like it latched there, and our system is still happy. We have a little bit of dust on the system, but that's okay. I can deal with that right now. So overall, we're looking pretty good here, and we're getting our updates. And then I think this next video snippet, we're going to do a little bit of stress testing on the graphics card. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into Gary's mod, and one thing I'm noticing right away is, I don't know if you remember the glitching we had. We used to have this like kind of retrace glitching with the onboard MSI graphics, and those graphics were pretty decent, but we're getting absolutely no glitching now with the MSI graphics card, so that's really that's a great thing. If I start a new game, and of course I'm not going into the server here. Let's see, what do we do here? Those are just what, sandboxes or something?
They're maps from.
Oh, they're maps from those.
Right,
okay.
right.
Let's go
Just
back.
double click that.
Let's just do find a multiplayer game.
History.
Oh, history. Okay.
Yeah,
Go
because
there.
it's faster.
Okay, so where did the bunny hop server go? There we go. Okay, let's go with this guy. And just get a sense that things are still working pretty well. Our frame per second is 255 frames per second. That's pretty decent. Down to 49, 15, 189. So we're kind of moving around quite a bit. Okay, let me play. Okay, so this is interesting. This is a different server that we haven't been on before. Or I haven't been on before anyway. At least not during these videos. Okay, so things are looking pretty good here. We have one more stress test that we're going to do, and you know, one of the main things is that there are some video games that take a lot more memory, and we want to just verify that the games that take a lot more memory and computes can actually function pretty well, and that'll be a really good stress test for our new graphics card. Okay, so our stress test that we're going to use, this is our final stress test for the MSI graphics card we just installed, is Dark Souls. So this is a very, very memory and compute intensive game, and it's a pretty good stressor for the system. If it can handle this game, we're in pretty good shape. See, my cursor's disappeared. Okay, there it's back. The startup is a little bit slow. We can see 30 frames per second. That's not super fast. 58. That's one thing I'm not really too happy. I would like to see that over 100 here, especially with the system like this. Let's see what's going on. Okay. Let's see how this does. Now I actually don't know how to play this game either. You want to take over?
Okay. Oh my god.
Okay, so what's the frame? We're still getting a relatively frame rate, 60 frames per second. I'm not sure if that can speed up at all.
Well, it's either that or 15. Oh wow, it runs so clearer than before. Oh my god, look at that.
Okay, so we're definitely getting some smooth motion on the players here. So. That's good. So that's a pretty decent test drive here, and the fans have not yet even come on with the MSI graphics card, which just means we're still not stressing the graphics card itself too well. Okay, so we're going to tinker around with this a little bit more, and then we will do more videos as needed. You